This is a story that CNN ran on January 18th. I wasn't going to cover this issue because I thought this story is absolutely ridiculous. Not this story, another story. Basically, it was like a week or so ago, a New York-based meteorologist was reading the line Martin Luther King Jr. and accidentally said a racial slur and then quickly corrected himself. So I don't want to say it on my channel because I just don't want to get a strike or something. The point is, the meteorologist, he slipped up and he read this incorrectly and immediately apologized. He was fired. I thought that was so stupid. I don't care. Look, it was a mistake. He misspoke. He wasn't using a racial slur. So when CNN did the exact same thing, what did I do? Well, I did record it because I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was funny. And I was assuming something like this might happen to CNN, but it didn't. It didn't. Nobody cared. And I thought, well, good. Nobody should care. However, CNN then runs this story. Basically, the exact same thing yesterday. So I said, you know what? Let's talk about this. And now I'm going to show you the video of CNN saying a racial slur, and I'll just play it for you. So this is from Smirkonish, whatever his name is. I actually think he's an all right guy, and I feel kind of bad because I'm highlighting this instance, but I don't think he did anything wrong. But it needs to be brought up because CNN is covering this, and I want to talk about how insane everything's gotten. But here you go.
Who, in an informal way, took it upon themselves to make inquiry of some type, or was this a formal process? He took it upon themselves to make inquiry of some type.
Took it upon themselves to make inquiry of some type.
So that was CNN. CNN did the same thing. Smirkonish misspoke. He said a racial slur. Nobody cared. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because this guy in New York gets fired over this, but he's a local meteorologist. How is it that there was a hubbub over something he said in accident when he's in a smaller market than CNN? CNN gets way more views. The ratings are way higher. Why is it that this guy is targeted and CNN isn't? To me, it feels like a double standard, okay? This guy shouldn't have been fired. He apologized that he misspoke. This guy shouldn't be in trouble anyway, but apparently that's going to happen. So let's read this. Let's read this story and read about what happened with these so you guys can understand the context. For the second time in less than 2 weeks, a local television news person has used a racial slur while talking about Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Around 5:30 a.m. on Thursday, news anchor Kevin Steincross of CNN affiliate KTVI in St. Louis, all right, so it is a CNN affiliate, was on the air and said a tribute at St. Louis University would honor Martin Luther racial slur he used, Jr., the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported. Around 9 a.m., Steincross went on to apologize. We have heard from a viewer about a mistake I made in our 5 a.m. newscast. In our story about the tribute to Dr. King, I unfortunately mispronounced his name. Please know I have total respect for Dr. King, what he meant and continues to mean to our country. This was not intentional in any way, and I sincerely apologize. A representative for station owner Tribune Broadcasting said Steincross made an unfortunate mistake, and the station will not take disciplinary measures against him, according to the Post-Dispatch. The Fox 2 management team spoke to Kevin following the mistake, and we believe that it was truly inadvertent and does not reflect Kevin's core beliefs, a Tribune spokesperson said in a written statement. Kevin is extremely upset by the mistake and regrets it deeply. The St. Louis chapter of the NAACP tweeted Thursday that Steincross needs to lose his job. The incident was deplorable and should not be tolerated. The anchor needs to resign, the tweet said. And this is where we are today, that when someone mispronounces a word, because people do this, it's normal, they should be fired for it. There was no intentional use of a racial slur by this man or by CNN's midday anchor. Should he be fired? Do we see the Jewish community up in arms over what Smirkonish said? No. And I wonder why that is. No, I seriously do. I'm not saying by no means, I don't think that guy should be fired. I don't think the other guy should be fired. And I don't think Smirkonish should be fired. But it goes on. It happened before. Friday, the NAACP chapter tweeted that branch officials will meet with station leadership to discuss our requests for immediate action. Earlier this month, a TV meteorologist in New York State was fired after using the same slur. And I'm going to point out, too, because of this instance, I am willing to bet CNN knows full well that Smirkonish said this. I bet Smirkonish knows he said it too, and they're probably hoping no one notices. But you know what? You live by the sword, die by the sword. Not necessarily to CNN, but this is the world being propped up by people in mainstream media and the left, that when you do these things with or without intent, it doesn't matter. And CNN said this. Now look, I also understand the way they said Martin Luther and the slur is much worse than accidentally saying the racial slur for Jewish people instead of some type. He misspoke, but it's still, in my opinion, in the same bracket. During WHEC's evening broadcast on January 4th, Jeremy Capel said Martin Luther slur, starting with the C, park, when referring to a downtown Rochester park named after slain civil rights movement leader Martin Luther King Jr. in a video viewed by CNN. Capel says King immediately after using the slur and continues with the broadcast, just like Smirkonish did on CNN. Capel said his use of the slur was a mistake caused by speaking too quickly. In my mind, I knew I mispronounced, but there was no malice. I had no idea the way it came across to many people, Capel said in a Facebook posted to video. In a video posted to Facebook. What did I just read? The mayor of Rochester and the city council issued a statement calling for Capel to be fired. The mayor did. WHEC fired Capel on January 6th, with the station vice president and general manager Richard A. Reingold saying, "These words have no place on News 10 NBC's air, and the fact that we broadcast them disheartens and disgusts me. That it was not caught immediately is inexcusable." Al Roker, the meteorologist on NBC's Today Show, defended Capel. Anyone who has done live TV and screwed up, Google any number of ones I've done, understands, Roker tweeted last week. But it doesn't matter, because we're entering a world where everyone is so overly sensitive, we are standing on thin ice that eventually is going to collapse. And I'm really surprised about one thing, too. Why wasn't this instance of CNN using the slur weaponized by activists on the left, but also by black propagandists on the right? If you're not familiar with the term, black propaganda is when you pretend to be on the other side. So one notable instance of black propaganda is when people started sharing these memes that said LGBTP, like trying to put pedophiles into the LGBT community. There really are people who do this. But the banner saying LGBTP was black propaganda. Basically what you do is you pretend, in this instance, they pretended they were a leftist and then said ridiculous things to try and shock people and make them think the left is bad. This is something I find really interesting because CNN's viewership is so much bigger than these local affiliates, but this didn't become an issue. That Smirkonish said this slur was not used by left or right. I don't think it should, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anybody should go after him. And I begrudgingly make this video, but I felt it would be kind of dumb if I didn't bring it up because no one else is bringing up that this is how crazy things have gotten. We are entering a world where, we're in a world where businesses who you know they don't care, right? You know these local affiliates don't actually care he slipped up. I bet in private they're going to these people and saying, "Look, I'm really sorry we have to do this, but people are really sensitive this day and age, and advertisers are scared." You look at how YouTube reacts. PewDiePie makes an edgy joke, and everyone loses their minds. And I want to make one more point on this. The point of this video is not so much as to highlight that CNN did this, though they did. It is what it is, and it's clearly just a slip-up. The point is, when you look at mainstream, national sources, they're allowed to do these things with much more leeway than anyone else. I was thinking about where these edgy jokes come from that get PewDiePie in trouble, right? That get Count Dankula in trouble. And I was watching South Park the other day because Comedy Central plays South Park endlessly. It's like you'll watch it for 4 hours straight. It's like their number one show, or maybe their only show. Cartman on South Park repeatedly makes anti-Semitic jokes. The show itself makes anti-Semitic jokes. Family Guy, another example, has Mort the Jew, who is one of the most ridiculous stereotypes of a Jewish person, where they constantly make fun of him wanting money, prostituting himself for $2. And then you wonder where these young people on the internet get these jokes from. Why does PewDiePie make the jokes about Nazis? Because South Park did. Because Family Guy still does. And to this day, you can turn on any mainstream, TBS, Adult Swim, and Fox and watch these jokes where they make fun of Jewish people, and it's fine. Absolutely fine. Yet for some reason, there are key areas where we can see there's a double standard and the rules aren't solidified. So my question is, right now, to wrap this up, why is it that Family Guy and South Park can make these jokes, nobody cares? A YouTuber makes the joke, everybody loses their minds. Why is it that a local meteorologist can accidentally say a word, everybody loses their minds, he's fired. A major midday host for CNN can say it, nobody cares. What if, I'm just so confused by this. Because if you don't know what the rules are, how do you behave? Is it okay to make edgy jokes? Apparently not, I have no idea. South Park and Family Guy does, but no, apparently no one else can. Is it wrong to slip up and say the wrong word? Apparently two different local affiliates are in trouble for it, but CNN isn't. So when and where do the rules apply? I honestly have no idea. I just really don't. And that's, in my opinion, what's going to lead to the complete destabilization of society if this continues. And yes, that may be like a hyperbolic statement, but let me just say, what happens when someone believes they're following the rules, saying, okay, I won't say that it's offensive, and then they say, oh, no, that was offensive. You said something else. And then what happens when a business collapses? What happens when advertisers pull out? How do you know how to behave if the rules are just different across the board? Well, the reality is there are no rules. There's none. So at any moment, you could be walking on the street and then, career over. Sorry, you 10 years ago said something. We had that one story of a race car driver whose dad said the N-word in the 80s, so he lost a sponsor. The sins of the father. It's just, I'm so sick of this stuff, seriously. Anyway, stick around. I have a video on my main channel starting at 4 p.m., and I will see you there.